discussion a little bit here. So
okay, so this is odd. They're outside the presence of the jury, and they're going to ask questions before they let her testify in front of the jury. I'm not sure I've ever seen this done. Usually a judge will make a determination from what the two attorneys tell them. I'm trying to think if I've ever seen them question a witness. Maybe I haven't, I just can't remember. But this seems pretty odd.
but we do need to hear you so that the court reporter can take everything down. So, you have been subpoenaed by the defense.
I can't even really hear you.
Let me do that. You've been subpoenaed by the defense to answer certain questions about being with George Floyd on May 25th, 2020, what you observed about his physical condition.
Maybe this is the other woman in the car. And they're even trying to suppress her. They've already pretty much knocked Hall out, and now they're trying to knock her out. Man, this guy does not get a fair defense.
At various points in Cup Foods, and basically a time frame on when you were with him that day and what you observed about him. Specifically, I think focusing mostly on the time in Cup Foods, but then also in the motor vehicle before the police.
She already looks like, well, hang on, I've got her on a 1.25. I'm going to put this on regular, but she kind of looks like she's on drugs already to me.
Came to the window.
Yep.
Okay? And you're willing to answer those questions about George
Yes.
Floyd? Okay. The parties also have the right to ask you, in order to test whether your perceptions are accurate, on whether you were under the influence of drugs or alcohol that day. Are you willing to answer that question?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I or him?
Are you willing to answer the question
Well,
whether you were under the influence of
yes.
drugs or alcohol?
Yes, I was not.
Okay. We're not going to be eliciting an opinion from you whether George Floyd was under the influence, just for how he looked.
Okay.
And how he acted.
Yep.
But not an opinion about whether he was under the influence.
Wow. Can we coach a witness anymore? Can we hide the facts from the jury anymore? This is why when you're on a jury, you need to understand how the deck is stacked against the defense.
Influence.
Okay.
But the lawyers, in order to make sure that the jury knows whether to consider your evidence and how much weight to give it, is whether you were sober or under the influence. Are you willing to answer that question?
Yes.
Okay. Now you understand, I don't find that those questions would expose you to criminal liability, but you do have a Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate yourself. Do you need time to talk to a lawyer? Or?
Nope.
And I have limited the lawyers to those topics so as not to get anything that might tend to incriminate you that you're not expecting. Okay?
Yep.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Do you need time to talk to a lawyer? Okay, ready to go then?
Yes.
All right. What we're going to do is we're going to bring the jury back in, and then I'm going to have you stand up so I can swear you in, and then we'll go from there. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, great. Let's bring in the jury.
So the jury should, again, if you're alert on the jury, this should be a clue. Why was this witness here before we were? Normally, they call him in when we're here. Why did this change? What is the government up to with their slick behind-the-door tricks?
Just follow my directions, you'll be fine.
Jury must be coming in. Do you always stand when the courts always kiss the jury's ass, kind of like they're the judge. So they always stand when they come in and leave.
Okay, Mr. Nelson, you may call your next.
Right, you're in the witness chair.
Or actually, there's mine. You can raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, have a seat, please. And before we begin, we're going to have you state your full name, spelling each of your names.
Shawanda, Shawanda, Renee, Renee, Hill, Hill.
Mr. Nelson?
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Hill.
I think she's on drugs.
Thank you for being here with us today. I just have a few questions about...
I wouldn't be surprised if the prosecution said, "Are you under influence now? Would you be willing to take a urine test to prove that?" And she will say no. And that will prove she's on drugs. That would not surprise me.
May 25th of 2020, do you recall that date?
Yes.
On that date, were you at the Cup Foods located in Minneapolis?
Yes. Yes.
Did you run into anybody that you knew while you were there?
Yes. George Floyd.
And while you were at the Cup Foods, or in the Cup Foods, did you have an opportunity to observe Mr. Floyd's behavior, demeanor, things of that nature?
Yes.
How would you describe Mr. Floyd's behavior while inside of the Cup Foods?
Happy, normal, talking, alert.
Okay. Did he offer to give you a ride?
Yes.
A ride to wherever it was
My
you were
house.
going? And so did you go to his car with him?
Yes.
Once you got into the car, did you observe any changes to his demeanor?
When we were in the car for the first like 8 minutes, we were talking and, you know what I'm saying, hugging, you know what I'm saying, talking about what we were about to do. And then I got a phone call. And so I was on the phone for the rest of the time until the little boys came to the car. He fell asleep at that time.
So at some point during the course of the time that you were in the car with Mr. Floyd, Floyd suddenly fell asleep,
Yes.
right? And the
Indicating he was taking fentanyl, under the influence of fentanyl, etc. I mean, that's the point he's trying to make. This is kind of, I would think, a dangerous witness because remember, if the prosecution thought she could help, if the prosecution could have charged her and held that over her head to get testimony to help their case, the prosecution would have called her. The fact that the prosecution didn't call her tells me they got nothing to hang over her head. They can't influence her thing. But I still think they're going to try to get in that. Did you see George Floyd call for his mama? Did you see George Floyd struggling? Did the police throw you against the wall when they showed up and you didn't? So I still think they're going to turn this into a poor victim moment, but we'll see.
phone call you received, was that from your daughter?
Yes.
And so you were talking with your daughter during that time?
Yes.
And you described, would you agree that at some point, you said some little boys, are those employees of the
Yes.
store?
Yes.
That's okay. The store employees came and approached the car, correct?
Yes.
And at that point, Mr. Floyd suddenly fell asleep?
He was already asleep.
He was already sleeping?
Yes. When they came to the car.
So that, to me, that gives her credibility. She corrected the guy, and she's not really out there trying to make a point. She was like, he was already asleep. To me, she's being honest because of that correction on the guy who misstated that he fell asleep while they were there.
And when they came there, I tried to wake him up. They tried to wake him up. I tried to wake him up over and over. And his friend tried to wake him up, and he woke up. Then he'll say something. He made a little gesture, and nodded back off.
Okay. Was that
And that's common with somebody using heroin, which is a depressant or downer. We call that the nods. If somebody has the nods, we'd be talking to them, asking them in the middle of saying their name, they would just nod off and go to sleep right there in front of you. And so, I haven't dealt with anybody on fentanyl that I knew of.
He did that a couple times.
Was that a kind of a sudden change from how you observed him in the store to the car?
Yes, but he already told me in the store he was tired because he had been working.
Object. There is an objection.
Hold on.
Oh, he objects. She said he already told him. And see, to me, he's trying to hide the fact that he told her he was tired. Now the prosecution is going to be all over that. You said earlier that he told you he was tired. Is that why you fell asleep? So now they're going to, now she just opened the door for the prosecution to make his falling asleep because he was tired and it wasn't the drugs.
Objection, grounds?
Reading, yes, the answer is stricken.
Overruled.
And so at some point, did the store clerks leave the side of the car?
Yes, I told him that I would wake him up and send him in there because I didn't have the money on me. I used my money. So.
Okay. And did you continue to try to rouse
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Wait until you finish the questions so that we don't overlap. Okay? Because the court reporter is taking everything down. It's really hard if you overlap.
Okay.
Okay? Thanks.
Thank you. So did you continue to try to awaken Mr. Floyd?
Yes, I tried a couple times, but then, I just let it go for a minute because I was back on the phone. And
Does anybody guess why she's wearing gloves? Who thinks that she's worried about COVID and that's why she's wearing gloves? I think she's probably has to wear gloves because she has some sort of either hepatitis or something that they said if she's going to testify because other people were coming in there, she had to wear gloves. That's just my guess. Maybe she's just wearing them because she's afraid of COVID. I don't know. Just seems odd that she would come to court and wear gloves unless she was told to.
All right.
the rest of it.
And did the store clerks come back to the car a second time?
No.
And were you, at some point, the police officers approached the car?
Yes.
I'm really surprised they got her in court, to be honest. A lot of time these witnesses like, what's in it for me? why should I show up in court? Why should I mess up my day? Well, you're going to have to come give me a ride, and I got to get dressed up, and you're going to have to. So I'm really surprised that they got her into court and she showed up on her own. I would like to know how that happened, but it doesn't really matter. She's there and she's testifying.
And Mr. Floyd was aroused by the police?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
I'm not real sure how this witness helped him a whole bunch. I have a feeling the prosecution is going to turn this and it's going to help them more than it helps him, but we'll see.
Right.
Good morning, Ms. Hill. I just have a couple.
Okay, this DA is pretty on the ball, and I like him. So he's probably going to make some good points.
Follow-up questions for you, okay?
Yes.
So during the period that you were with Mr. Floyd in the store, he was, you said he was alert,
Yes.
friendly,
Yes.
Happy?
talkative,
Happy talking. Yes.
and
Laugh, hugging.
She's under the influence, people. Look, this is typical. Even though I have this sped up a little bit, I'm telling you, she's under the influence right now. But the prosecution, if she helps them, they don't want to prove she's under the influence. They would only want to prove she's under the influence if she hurts them.
yeah. And when you went out to the store, he walked by himself out to the store.
Yes.
In fact, did a little dance as he went out to the car.
Yes.
We just have to make sure that you wait
Yes.
till the question's done so we aren't talking over each other, okay? I know it's
People don't like to be corrected when they're on a stand, and it's not good for the DA to correct them. I would let her do it and wait for the court reporter to ask the judge, you got to tell her to quit talking over, I can't type. And then the judge can correct her. When you correct a witness that you're trying to get information from or develop a bond, it hurts your ability and they shut down a little bit. If you object over her, now she's going to stop elaborating and only give you yes or no questions after she pauses.
a hard habit to break, but we just have to be careful with that, okay?
She's
And
like, whatever.
when you got back to the car, at some point he nodded off.
Yes.
But you were able to wake him, correct?
Yes.
And talk to him.
Yes. But he wasn't that coherent at the time.
He was just awakening.
Yes.
He didn't want that not coherent at the time. See, to me, when a jury sees this, it's just, why can't we let the witness testify and tell what they saw, heard, and what they believed, and then give the jury the ability to determine whether it was relevant or not? No, 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 no. Only the guys with the black robes that have been to law school get to determine what the jury hears. And then when they make a bad verdict, they all get up there and go, it wasn't me, it was the jury.
And nodded off again.
Yes.
And at some point, the police officers walked up, correct? Said yes.
Yes.
And then he, well, you woke him up when the police officers walked up, correct?
Yes.
And so then he was awake.
Yes. You just want me to say yes or no, explain what you want me to do.
Well,
I
explain.
want to explain.
Good for her. See, she wants to explain and they keep shutting her down because they don't want her to explain because it may hurt their case. They just want to get the answers they want. To me, this really hurts the prosecution because they're looking like they're trying to hide shit. And even the defense, if they try to do that shit. And he did at one point object to her answer. And I'm like, why are you doing? Just let her freaking testify. Let the judge or the other side object. If you're really after the truth, which they aren't.
Okay, thank you. So when I tried to wake him up, he woke up the second time. I said, Floyd, the police is here. It's about the $20 bill wasn't real. I kept saying, baby, get up. The police was up. So he looked, and we looked to the right, and he had the police. He tapped on the window with a flashlight. And I'm like, Floyd. And so he turned back around again. He's like, what? And I was like, baby, that's the police. Open the door, roll down the window, whatever he told him to do. So he looked back, and when he seen the man had the gun at the window when we looked back to him. So he instantly grabbed the wheel, and he was like, please don't kill me. Please don't shoot me. What did I do?
See, he let her explain, and she actually ended up helping them. So he's like, damn. See, he was trying to shut her down, and she actually, I think, just helped the prosecution promote their narrative that he was scared of the police. And he had just reason, because later the police killed him. So therefore he was right.
Tell me what I did. Please don't kill me. Please don't shoot me. And I'm like, Floyd, baby, it's not. You said explain. I'm
I
sorry.
did.
You can't same girl. That's right. So now they're trying to shut her down because you turned on the faucet and it's running full blast. You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is way outside the scope of the answer. She's going off on a tangent. We got to stop her. And now she's like, you said explain. I love it.
Explain what state he was in, sir.
I did. And I have to ask some questions. So I'm sorry to cut you off. I really am.
That's what.
But I want to go back and just
Did she just pull her hair down?
ask some questions. So I'm sorry to cut you off. I really am.
That's what.
But I want to go back and just cover one thing quick. Where were you sitting in the vehicle?
In the back right passenger seat.
Okay. And so when officers came,
Back passengers.
Dude, she is so under the influence of pathetic. And I say, never mind, I won't go there.
were there two officers that came to the vehicle?
Yes.
So one came to the passenger side and one to the driver's side?
Yes.
So initially you saw one officer to your right on the passenger side, correct?
No, I was up like in, I'm trying to wake him up, so I'm in the middle, like at the time, when the police were there. That's how I was able to see him too, we both looked at the same time.
And when he was, during this time period, coming out from Cup Foods and being in the vehicle, did he complain of shortness of breath at all?
No,
Did he complain of chest pains at all?
no,
So he wasn't having a heart attack. It wasn't his heart. None of this was anybody's fault except the knee on his neck. Here's the narrative. I got to repeat it. And anytime you get the prosecution to repeat their narrative, it reinforces it. Remember, if you tell a lie long enough, people think it's the truth.
And other than being sleepy or nodding off a little bit, did he seem abnormal to you in any way?
not at all.
And did he seem startled when the officer pulled a gun on him?
Very.
I have nothing further.
I think I still can't stop laughing. She's like, she told me, shit, motherfucker asked me a motherfucking question, and then when I start explaining, you tell me to shut up. You told me to explain, motherfucker. I don't loved it. She didn't fucking went.
Thank you. While you were in the car, or prior to getting in the car, Mr. Floyd appeared to you to be normal, correct?
Yes.
When he got in the car, he fell asleep, correct?
We talked for a while, then he fell asleep.
And then ultimately, you had to make several efforts to
Yes.
try to wake him up.
Yes.
I have nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. We appreciate you coming in. You are excused.
Thank you.
Okay, so she's done.
Go right out the doors.
17 minutes. We'll go for the next witness because they go quicker on the defense.
And before you begin, if you could give us your full name, spelling each of your names.
Peter Chang. First name is Peter, P-T-R. Last name is Chang, C-H-A-N-G.
Mr. Nelson.
Whoa! Is this the guy that was keeping the crowd back? Notice the prosecution did not call him. He may be facing charges. I'm surprised they're letting him testify. This should be interesting.
Thank you. Mr. Chang, by whom are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the Minneapolis Park Police.
Park police. Oh, so he was with the park police. Okay.
Are you a licensed peace officer?
Yes.
Could you please describe the training and experience that you have to the jury?
Training, I went through the Minneapolis Police Academy.
I'm kind of, wouldn't anybody on the jury be asking, why wouldn't a prosecution call him? He was on the scene. Why didn't a prosecution call him as a witness? That's a clue.
Prior to that, I did skills for a metropolitan state. Passed my skills. I went to police academy through Minneapolis. After passing the, academy, I went through a FTO phase.
Is that field training?
Yes.
Okay.
And that consists of 5 months. After passing that, I went on the street.
I'm going to
And
pass.
have you been a licensed peace officer? On duty back,
Yes.
and did you ultimately respond to a call at approximately 8:00 p.m. to the Cup Foods store?
Yes.
And can you describe for the jury how it is that you became a part of this incident?
I was stationed at the park close by. I heard 320 called out that they were taking out one, I believe, and then I heard a lot of background noises, and I heard dispatch asking for assistance. I was one of the closer squads, so I just self-assigned to that call out to assist 320.
Self-assigned mean he volunteered that I'm in the area, I'll go. So he wasn't dispatched. He just used self-assigned.
Now, let me ask you, is it common for Minneapolis Park Police to assist on calls with the Minneapolis Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. Your jurisdiction generally is within the parks.
Yes.
However, you are able to back up or assist officers with the Minneapolis Police Department, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Let me ask you one quick question about your experience. You said that you went to the Minneapolis Police Academy, right?
Yes.
Even though you were looking to become a Minneapolis Park Police officer.
Yes.
Do the Park Police and the Minneapolis Police Department, you have the same academy?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Do you have the same field training process?
I believe so, yes.
So what the points he's trying to make here is the prosecution is going to say you're not a real cop. He was a park police. He didn't really know what was going on. His credibility isn't because he's not a real cop. So he's trying to negate that by locking him in, that he gets the same training in the same academy.
And then do you participate in continuing education in service as a police officer?
Yes, we do.
Is that also in conjunction with the Minneapolis Police Department?
Yes.
All right. Now, after you...
I think he should have said, in most states, if you're a peace officer, you're a peace officer throughout the state, and you can enforce laws anywhere within a state, even though it may be outside your jurisdiction.
So you responded to the Cup Foods location?
Yes.
And can you describe for the jury initially what you observed and what you did?
When I got there, I initially stopped in front of Cup Foods, and I observed the two officers, 320, across the street. So I drove my squad across the street and parked. I got out of my car, 320. One officer stated they were code 4. I just got out of the car. I observed, I believe, Officer Chang with one of the individual who I later identified was Floyd. Floyd was in handcuffs, sitting on the ground, leaning against the wall, and Officer Lane was with two individuals by the car.
Now, let me ask you quickly, did you know either Officers King or Lane prior to this incident?
No.
I was just thinking that same thing. Does he know, or has he backed them up before because he's saying their name like he knows them?
Okay. Now, were you asked to do something at that point?
Once I got out of my car, Officer Kane asked me to identify Floyd in our system. So I just went back to my squad car and identified Floyd.
All right. And what happened next, sir?
Okay, he should have explained what identify means. When an officer asks you to identify somebody, that means they want you to go run them. And normally you run them all systems and see if they have warrants, see if they're on parole probation. You get their driver's license number and you confirm who they are, either through a name and date of birth or an ID they gave you. So that's what that means. That wasn't explained real well. I think the jury, since they're not cops, that should have been explained better.
Once I was in my car identifying Floyd, I observed Officer Lane and Kane assisting Floyd towards their car, which was in front of Cup Foods.
Now, can you describe where, that would be Squad 320, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And can you describe where Squad 320 was parked and where you were parked?
320 was parked in front of Cup Foods. They were on the northbound lane facing southbound. And then I was basically across the street on 38th. I believe the front of my squad car was facing eastbound on 38th towards Dragon Walk. Yeah.
Did you then move your squad car?
Yes, once I identified Floyd, I looped, because I observed Officer Lane and Kane assisting Floyd to their squad car, I looped my squad car around and parked in front of their car, their squad car.
So your cars were sort of nose to nose?
Yes.
At an angle though, right?
Yes.
All right. What happened next?
After that, I got on my squad car. I observed Officer Kane and Lane, I guess, pinning Floyd against the squad car, so I wanted to go assist. But once I approached them, Officer Lane told me to watch the car. And
Right. Well, I hope he goes into, what do you mean by pinning against the car? Is that normally what they do to people before they put them in a car, or do they only do that when somebody's resisting? Hopefully he gets him to elaborate on that.
I did that.
And you did that?
Yes.
And then were you, where did you go in relation to the car?
The car was parked on 38th Street, so I basically went across the street to the car.
Okay. And what did you do then?
When I approached the car, I observed the two individuals that initially when I arrived, I saw Officer Lane with, I guess, reaching inside the car. and I basically just told them to back away from the car and not reach inside or get anything from the car.
So you were monitoring what the two passengers were doing at that time?
Yes.
Was your attention focused on what Officers King and Lane were doing, or was it focused on what the passengers
Both.
were doing?
It was more focused on the vehicle and 2 passengers.
Okay. Now, at some point, did you observe another squad car arrive?
Yes.
And can you describe that interaction that you had with those officers?
I believe that was Squad 330. They arrived coming westbound on 38th. They parked in front of the SUV, and I basically just directed them towards 320, which they were in front of on Foods.
Okay. Did you know the officers, either of the officers in Squad 320?
No,
Excuse me, 330.
I'm sorry.
330, not 320.
No, I probably met Officer Tao a couple times, but no relationship.
Okay. And you had never met Officer Chauvin prior to that?
No.
All right. Now, what happened next?
Basically went across the street, and then I assisted 320. And again, my main focus was just the car and the 2 individuals.
And as Mr. Floyd and the officers were across the street, did you notice any changes in the area?
Yeah, as there was a crowd, and yes, the crowd was becoming more loud and aggressive. A lot of yelling across the street.
Whoa, the prosecution ain't gonna like that. They're gonna come back. What do you mean by loud and aggressive? What could you explain what aggressive? What's loud? What were they yelling? Did you hear what they were yelling? Did they threaten the officer? Did you hear? They're gonna eat him up on that. Even though a reasonable officer, when a crowd starts getting there and starts yelling at cops doing their job, it's a natural response to think this ain't going good. It's not a good situation.
Did that cause you any concern?
Concern for the officer's safety, yes.
Did you go over to try to help them?
No, because I guess my job was to watch the car and the 2 individuals that were by the car.
Did you know whether the car had been searched at all by officers?
At that time, no.
Were you concerned about that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as a
Had you not been concerned about that, would you have went over and helped the officers? Yes. Why would you have went over there? Because I was concerned of the crowd. Oh, you missed the opportunity there.
I am assuming that on this day you were in a uniform similar to what a Minneapolis police officer would wear?
Yes.
So you were fully uniformed
Yes.
with all of the duty belt and all of the things that are on the duty belt, right?
Yes.
You were driving a marked squad car?
Yes.
And does your department require you to wear a body-worn camera?
Yes.
Was your body-worn camera active and recording this event?
Yes.
Now, have you had an opportunity at this point to review the footage that was taken by your body-worn camera?
I have.
And does that appear to be a fair and accurate representation of the things you observed?
Yes.
Now, in terms of as the crowd or the group of people were congregating around Squad 320, did you notice anything in terms of the tone or tenor of the voices of those people?
They were very aggressive. Yes. Aggressive towards the officers, yes.
Did the volume increase?
Yes.
And so how were you reacting? How were you splitting? How were you reacting to that?
Yes, I was focused on the car, but then it distracts me, and I was concerned for the officer's safety too, so I just kept an eye on the officers and the car and individuals, passengers.
And if we can just show I'm going to show a couple of parts of your body-worn camera. And if you just look at the screen in front of you, does this appear to be at the top right-hand of 2020?
Yes.
Do you know what that means?
I do not.
Okay. Are you familiar with Greenwich Mean Time?
No.
Oh, okay. So you don't know why the timestamp, you said you were, what time would you originally estimate that you were dispatched to this call, or that you assigned?
You kind of want your witness to know what you're going to ask him so he doesn't look like he doesn't know what he's talking about. If you're going to ask about Greenwich time, you should probably ask your witness about it, see if he's familiar with it, and explain it so when you ask it, he doesn't go, I don't have a clue. Now, I'll be honest, I've heard of it, but I don't really know what it means or what it does either. But why are you asking that? And I don't get that.
To this call?
I'll say approximately 8:05.
Okay. Obviously, there's a time difference here that says 1:10 p.m. You have no idea why that would be.
No.
Now, but it does appear to be your body-worn camera from that day.
Yes.
The same thing that you've observed before.
Yes.
All right. Then, Your Honor, I would move to admit Exhibit 1054. 3 minutes of your
Bump through here. He's going code 3. Why? Because it was a stable situation and it was just a simple little counterfeit call? Why is he going code 3?
Code 4.
I got one at home. All right, what's your name? George Floyd.
All these cops responding to a simple call are now fired, out of a job. Their whole life's over. Why? Because George Floyd was using drugs and committing crimes, and it's their fault.
I don't know what's going on. I just came over to get my phone. Yep. R-G-E. Last name? Floyd. That's my name. Because he's been shot before. October 14th. October 14th? 73. Man, I got shot last night. Same thing, man.
George Floyd.
I don't want no problem. Ain't nothing.
The way he responded and the way he parked his car indicates to a reasonable officer that these guys, the situation wasn't stable and they needed help. The prosecution is probably going to say, you weren't dispatch code 3. You made that decision on your own. When you got there, the officers looked fine. They weren't in fact fighting. They weren't in fact in danger. Watch, it'll come, I'll bet.
Now, Officer Chang, does that represent that initial interaction that you had with officers King, Lane, Mr. Floyd, and the passengers of the vehicle?
Yes.
All right. And did you then, in fact, use your computer to enter in the name of George Floyd?
Yes.
All right. And after you did that, what happened next?
Again, I observed Officer Lane and Kane assist George Floyd to their squad car, which was in front of Cup Foods. So I got to scoot my squad car around so I can be closer, and got out of the car. And again, I observed Officer Lane and Kane, and I was pinning Floyd against their squad car, so I went to assist. But once I approached him, Officer Lane told me to go watch the car.
All right. I'm going to, if we could take this down, Your Honor. And in front of you, Officer, again, showing you part of your body camera footage.
Yes.
And it appears to be the same date, after you've run the information and looped the car.
Yes.
And does this video accurately reflect what you saw saw that day?
Yes.
I would move, Your Honor, for the admission of Exhibit 1055, which is an approximately 24-minute part of Mr. Chang's body camera.
Subject to the court's prior rulings, 1055 is received.
Permission to publish?
You may.
Can you watch that car?
Okay. I don't want you guys grabbing anything from the car, okay? Leave the car alone. Leave the car alone.
Yes, sir.
All right, now.
Just got to see. There's his phone.
All right, just leave the car alone.
You know why they were in a car? Well, Rick, they were getting their personal items. Yeah, okay. It was Floyd's car. If there was anything in it that Floyd wanted, it probably wasn't there. But Rick, they're friends. Well, friends will take things, especially if they think the cop's going to find them and they can get you out of trouble. So this guy's defense may be, you saw me throw something, but what it was is I knew Floyd had drugs in the car, and I didn't want him to get arrested. So I pulled it out, and I wanted to hide it so they wouldn't bust him. That's going to be his defense.
Okay.
27, 29,
How you doing?
Good. Did you guys take out the car?
Your cigarettes.
Cigarettes? You got your personal items?
This is mine. I had it in my hand. This is my phone.
Okay.
She's talking just like she did on the stand. You asked me to explain it. Now I'm explaining. Now you told me.
phone in there.
Whose car is this?
That's his friend's car. A female named, I was trying to think of her name.
Okay.
Yeah. It's his friend's car.
It's a friend's car. I'm trying to think of their name.
Damn, man.
Who is he to you guys?
Silver. That's my ex.
Your ex. Okay.
And I just seen him.
Oh, they didn't get that out on the stand. They didn't get out on this witness that she used to date George Floyd. She just said that was my ex. That didn't come out. Wow.
In the store, so he was gonna give me a ride home.
Okay.
I just came to get my phone fixed. Didn't give her no ride.
Drug dealers never have, drug users and drug people that hang out with other drug people never have exes. They have people that they share drugs with. See, this guy doesn't have a lot of information on whether these people are detained, whether they're involved, whether they can leave. Does he have authorization to detain them? He was kind of cold to go keep an eye on the car.
Okay. Just stay put, all right? I don't want anybody near his car.
Is anybody gonna check my name? Because my daughter on her way here to get me.
All right, where's the ID?
I don't have that. I gave him my
All right,
name.
why don't you stand right there, okay?
They know who gave him the money and whatnot.
Okay.
320 your visa.
Did you guys give my partners their names or no?
Yeah, we already did.
You guys did? Okay. Did he write it down?
Yep.
You wrote down everything? Okay, stay put, all right? Let's see what my partner does.
She just say she rode down here with him? I thought she testified that she ran into him in the store and then he was going to give her a ride home. She just said that she rode down there with him. Anybody else catch that?
Damn, he still won't get in the car. Just sit down, dude.
Oh, she's like, he still won't get in the car. Even she sees he's being... Why didn't he ask her that? He had her on a freaking stand. Didn't you make a comment in a video that he wouldn't get in the car and you thought he was being resistive? What the hell? He missed all these opportunities when he had her on a stand.
Dude, they gotta push him in his car. Look, he's fighting to get out. That's fucking resistance. What is he doing? Now he going to jail. All you had to do was...
When I tell a dude to stay put and not leave and he starts putting on his backpack, that's a clue. Okay? I wouldn't let him put on a backpack. Dude, why are you putting on a backpack? You ain't going nowhere. Put the backpack down. Until I figure out what's going on, you two are detained. You can stand here as long as you're cooperative. If you give me any hassle, I'm going to put you in handcuffs and detain you. Are we clear? That's the way that should have went down. Rick, you're a big jack. But shut up, freaking crybabies.
Can y'all give him his phone now, please?
We'll see what happens, all right? You guys just stay put. Tell my partners to come back here.
Look, they still fighting. Oh, man, what is he doing?
What is he doing? Isn't it true that you thought George Floyd was fighting the officers and was resisting? Didn't you say that? Why the hell didn't he ask these questions? This video was freaking... Unless he was told he couldn't ask. But as a juror, I'd be like, damn, man, that defense attorney dropped the ball here. But maybe he was told he couldn't ask. All this movement and shuffling and cigarettes and all that crap. Look, people, you may think that that's kind of like normal and they're not doing anything. That is absolutely criminal, distracting. They're testing the officer. They're probing how much the officer will take. They're trying to figure out if this officer is weak. Is he going to stop him? If he's not going to stop him, this is all calculated movements to where how much can we get away with, and then we'll make our move either to throw our dope, destroy our dope, shoot the officer, or run away. All calculated. Rick, you're just saying that because he has red pants on. Whatever.
You guys don't have your IDs on you?
I already gave him one, man.
Huh?
I gave it to him, man.
I see your ID again.
I gave it to him.
He has your ID?
Yeah. And I gave him my name because I didn't even
Okay.
get no purse or nothing.
All right, well,
came
just
to
stay
get
put
my
here,
phone
okay?
fixed. know one damn thing. Y'all better go ask Mike because it wasn't us.
Okay. Let's stay farther back there, okay?
Huh?
Let's stay farther back. What's her name?
My name's Shawanda.
Shawanda? What's yours? What's your name?
William Ricardo, sir.
What is it?
William Ricardo.
He's looking down, looking away, and mumbling. I knew he was lying right there. If I had just shown up and you ask a guy a name and he answers like that, I already know he's lying. And he gave him 2 different names when he lied because he had warrants. That's why he's in custody now.
Ricardo.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, man. Ask Mr. Adam about me. I just did some business with him, man.
Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
My daughter. They gave me some too. I tore that shit up.
Give you some.
Oh! Gave him some of that counterfeit money and he tore it up. Another admission of guilt.
Why?
Fake money, man.
Who gave it to you?
Somebody, I don't know, whoever the fuck asked for change or something. Get some fuck ass cigarette and the man told me, hey, that fake, all right, cool. You see mine, I tore this shit up right there. And he came out and started telling that dude, yeah. And I told him, the dude told him, and he told him to come back in the car, come back in our store. But he was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, he was like, what the fuck? Why would where I'm gonna get some fake money from?
If I could ever choose, just 2114 has been a priority coming in to probably approximately
This guy's turned his back on these people several times because his camera's facing away from him. And I'm just like, dude, you need to keep your eye on the people and not turn your back on them. He's over there fighting with y'all. Another reason we'd want Mr. Hall to testify. Hopefully the jury is like, why haven't they called Mr. Hall? They called the girlfriend. Why haven't they called Mr. Hall? If you're on a jury and you're asking why they haven't done something, then you got to know they're hiding something.
So Ricardo, how are you related to Floyd? How you know him?
He used to do security work at the Salvation Army, man.
How do you know him?
I don't know him. I'm telling you now, right there.
Okay.
Security work.
So how are you guys together then?
We was getting a ride.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you two are together.
No, I seen him in the store too, but that's my ex. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
How do you two know each other? How do you not know him when he said he's with you?
No, he was getting a ride with him too, and he told me come on and he'll give me a ride.
Okay. Just stay put there.
This is why you always get questions and answer questions and ask questions, because all this goes to, are they lying to you now? Are they lying to you later when they give cross statements, inconsistent statements? That's how you figure out by talking to people when they're lying.
I don't need it because my daughter does.
All right, that's good.
Is this her right here?
I'll stay put, all right?
Yeah, because he was fighting. Yeah, because he over there fighting.
It's making it more difficult.
Hell,
He's making it more difficult.
I know. I think he got shot. He was falling asleep a little bit, and then he woke up. They was up in the door.
He was falling asleep, then he woke up. I mean, everybody's saying he's falling asleep.
How you doing? Yeah, then he started saying, please don't shoot me. Right. That's why I had my hand showing.
Officer, do you see the individual on the left hand walking by?
Oh, yes.
You had no interaction with her at this point?
No.
You'd agree that this is at 123 and 17Z of your body camera footage?
Yes.
Who is that? Was that the fireman lady? Oh, her hair looks so different. Maybe that's the fireman lady that was being a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I had my hand showing though, but Mr. Adam is still about to
Me too.
We
We already know.
Who's Adam?
I spent my money. I paid for my phone.
I was getting a laptop and it didn't work, so he gave me my funds back.
Okay.
You can come in and talk to him.
Okay, sure.
You mind if I get my little mask?
Where is it? What is it?
I got my COVID mask.
Where is it?
Right here.
Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead. Let's make it quick. Face me.
Yeah, face me. You're gonna let a dude, you don't even know what's going on. You're gonna let a dude start digging in his bag that you haven't searched.
Face me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I hope I have it.
These motherfuckers don't get us in trouble for nothing. I can get in trouble. I don't got no warrant.
That's good. You guys are no warrants or nothing. Then after all this is settled, you guys good to block.
All this is settled. Can't y'all just ask him?
What's wait? There's so. Don't you hear your friend talking? Yelling over there? I can see him yelling and talking. He's
Can't y'all
making
talk
more.
to the store person?
I'm waiting for my partners.
Yeah, for the start.
Gotta talk to my partner and see what's up.
He said he knew them.
I hear that dude yelling, Mr. Blood Choke and Air Choke dude, Mr. Expert that kept jumping off, calling them punks and cussing them out. I can hear him yelling on the microphone way over there.
So I was asking him, did he know him? He said
I know him very well, all of them.
Floyd. You know Floyd?
Yeah, I'm talking about I know the people in the store very well.
Okay, that's good.
212 has a close available if you could start for an assault at next door to 2313 Washington Street Northeast. There's a black male assaulting a female. Copy.
Officer, I'm just gonna look right here at the door. Just see if I left anything right here. Just sit, sir.
Moving around, touching the car, digging in the bag. That's how they get rid of evidence and toss it. He's letting them go back in the car after he told them not to go back in the car. Again, this is probing to see whether you're a rookie, whether you know what you're doing, whether you're going to stop them, how much they can get away with.
All right, let's get. That's it, man, Ricardo. Just our door. All right.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming close to us. So
How do you know he didn't plant evidence or take evidence when he opened that door?
right now we don't need a mask yet.
Huh?
So right now nobody's coming close to us. So we're good with the mask.
Oh, this is that he called her? Did he call her? Did Floyd call her? Huh?
Is it a white girl?
Yeah.
She's short?
Yeah, right here.
Stay put, guys. All right.
212.
Want to be involved in that?
Like, suspect is sitting.
I hear him yelling all the way over here on his microphone. And the prosecution's making it sound like they were just filming.
The next one is Brian. The suspect has a gun. We can see that as
They did something
All right,
going.
let's stay here, all right?
They did something because them motherfuckers taking pictures over there.
See, they know the ghetto code. When somebody pulls out the camera and taking a picture, the cops done something because they got their cameras out taking pictures.
Yeah, I'm on the phone. Yeah, everybody recording this shit, man.
Squad 330. EMS is at Portland and 36.
I don't know. I doubt it. Yeah, this guy here got us. Mr. Chief.
Would have been nice if this Ranger dude got on the radio right now and said, "Dispatch, I'm over here securing a car. It sounds like the officers have a crowd gathering and they're getting loud. You might want to send more officers." That would have helped.
Copy. I should give you their updated location there. In route.
I wish Mr. Chang is just gonna let us walk in with him with Mr. Adams. Just goddamn. Mr. Chang, bro.
Let's stay put here. All right, tell my partners and I'm done over there. They can figure things out. We'll figure things out, all right? Right now, we're grabbing an ambulance for your buddy, for Floyd, okay?
Fuck.
So he might have hurt himself. He might have hurt himself. All right? Who knows?
Something happened to ambulance here and everything. Can I just see what y'all did to him?
Shawanda,
He on the ground and everything.
stay over here, okay?
He on the ground.
Yes.
This guy has no control. He's turning his back. The two people are separating him. He's got... Jeez.
Where?
Right here. No, I'm stopping to see.
Shawanda,
Mr. Hall has warrants. He probably should have beat feet and been running by now. I'm surprised he didn't.
What was that?
I think I got one of the store guys.
Okay, let's stay put. We'll figure it out, right, Ricardo? All right, I'm not getting you guys any problems, right?
Why is he going to the hospital?
Because he did drugs and
Shawanda,
fentanyl and
you're not helping.
methamphetamine.
Once our partners get over here, they can explain to you guys, okay?
We're gonna make on the vehicle line with a tan.
This guy has no control of these two people whatsoever.
I'll resist. I'll try to get that. Both gonna be out. Copy.
Where's his phone?
It's in the car.
We're gonna take the car, okay? Nope, I don't want you reaching the car, okay?
It's right there on the seat.
He'll get to his car once he's done with that, okay? His car is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Don't go into the car. I don't want you guys going to the car. That's it. Well, once my partners come over here, you guys can ask, right?
Now remember, Mr. Hall knows he gave them fake names, and under his real name, he has warrants. So he wants to get out of there as soon as possible, because he don't want them to figure it out. He don't want to be there when they figure out he lied to him.
What? Let's go straight, man. It's tight here. You guys good? Oh. I don't know.
Officer Chang, pausing the video for a second, you'd agree that the ambulance appears to be leaving at 1:30:21 on your body worn cam?
Yes.
Let's wait for 320.
So now he left the two people.
Here's the book, man. Yeah, are you guys good with diesel? I'm gonna double check. Here's the book. Here's a notebook. His phone. He's already gone. He doesn't need his phone. Is that his phone?
She had to get in that car, didn't she?
Put his phone back.
Yeah, put his phone back. He's gonna have to.
He's gone already. He went to the hospital.
Tell him where it is.
Man, these cops are weak on freaking controlling.
You sure?
Yeah.
Put his phone back. That's it.
You know him, bro?
Yeah.
What's up? You might call it family somebody. I watch the whole family out. I ain't even.
What happened when he in the
I
hospital?
didn't talk to them yet. You probably did.
Okay, you ran him though?
Nope.
No, that man took her name.
So, supposedly you probably has his
What
ID.
happened to him?
All right.
That's your partner. Your partner isn't in order.
He took your ID?
Yeah.
He said,
They kept it put on it. They kept it. I already know what I tried to get him to get in the car. I tried. I told him he can't win. Go on, get in the car. I kept telling him. Bro, you can't win, bro. Get in the car. Because I know you can't win.
They're good? Yeah. Okay. All right, you guys are good.
Oh my God, they're good? Are you kidding me? They're in the car with a dude passing counterfeit money. He's in drugs, and you might have just killed him. This could have turned into a homicide investigation, and you let two people go that you're not even sure who their name is. Matter of fact, you got the wrong name on one dude because he got away. Wow.
Well, he said these two are good, but I'm not too sure about this.
Can I take Sylvia on the car?
What?
That's Sylvia's truck. That's our friend Sylvia.
Okay.
Ex-co-worker. But let me try. If I get her phone, I can call her and tell her, sir.
Oh, the car's going.
This dude gave a fake name, and they just told him he's free to go, and he's standing around. Like I said, we never caught the smart ones.
Stay put right here until we figure it out.
well, you better lock it because his phone's sitting right there.
Can I tell
Oh,
Sylvia?
oh. Stay put. My partner's going to come back. I don't know what the plan is with the car.
Hey, you mind if I just get his phone? Okay.
I don't want you guys touching the car.
He's still in the boat, man.
That must be the big red truck responding right on cue. There we go.
Officer Chang, you'd agree that the A timestamp on your body-worn camera when the fire truck arrives is 1:32 and 50 seconds Z, correct?
Yes.
I didn't hear anybody call.
I thought Z was Zulu time. I didn't know that was Greenwich time.
What? Open call?
I don't think it's related.
Okay. I think this car, when I got here, the doors were open, so they're involved, but I don't know. So, is he on his attendance? Or?
They're gone.
Are you still red?
What's that?
Still red?
Yeah. So, that turbo is being hostile.
Yeah.
If you would let MFD know that EMS needs the fire to go to Harvey 36 station in a full rest now.
So is it parking 36?
Can you advise the fire department if they're still with you, they need to go to 36 and park with this with a patient on full rest?
No, I gotta get in the car. I gotta get in the car.
Officer Chang, you'd agree that now the fire truck appears to be leaving, correct?
Yes.
Timestamp on your video is 1:35:06Z, correct?
Yes.
And are subject to the court's ruling. Now, a few follow-up questions here, Officer Chang, for you. It seems to me that you're walking around quite a bit. Can you explain why?
It's pacing back first to make sure that, I was concerned for the officer's safety because of the crowd. So I just want to make sure that the officers were okay.
Did you observe other people at other locations besides where Mr. Floyd and the officers were?
You can say at least one at every corner of the intersection.
Did you observe people standing in the Speedway parking lot?
Yes.
And
I wanted to get the Zulu time in here. Military navigation usually terms. So Zulu is formally Greenwich Mean Time. So when he asked for Greenwich Mean Time, I was like, what? If he just says Zulu time, I know what he's talking about. Anyway, back to the video.
And there were one or two people on the corner where you guys were?
Yes.
And at least one person across the street to the west, right?
Yes.
Southwest corner. Now, in terms of the general area, would you describe that as a pretty busy intersection?
Yes. Traffic and foot traffic, yeah.
So a fair number of cars, vehicles traveling through that intersection?
Yes.
As well as a fair number of people on bikes or on foot walking past?
Yes.
All right. Ultimately, did this pretty much end your involvement in this case?
Yes, that's correct.
So you pretty much went back to your regular duties with the park police, correct?
Yes.
I'm really wondering why the prosecution would not call a cop on the scene to testify. They haven't called any of the cops they fired, and they haven't called this guy. I call that a clue.
All right. Based on that, Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
So this witness to me was basically to get his body cam in, which the defense, out of all the body cam they showed, they really didn't show this, did they? Or the prosecution didn't really show this. We're at 58 minutes, and this is probably going to go long, so I'm going to come back for the cross on the next one.